Welcome back. You're watching Network Africa. The Niger Delta Avengers has rejected calls from former militants to join talks with the government. The movement for the emancipation of the Niger Delta men yesterday urged the Avengers to negotiate and halt attacks that have cut Nigeria's crude output to a 20-year low. However, the Avengers say that men is a phased-out group that the group had been defunct since participating in the amnesty scheme. The Avengers describes calls for dialogue by men as just some political jargon concocted to confuse the general public. The Avengers had said they would not cooperate with government when the idea of negotiations was first mooted last week.
Representatives of security agencies, traditional rulers, men, women, youth groups, students, and journalists. The concern at this meeting convened at the instance of Journalists for Sustainable Development in Nigeria is a recurring threat to security and economic development in the Niger Delta.
The likes of the NDC, the likes of the Ministry of Public Affairs are feeling us woefully.
Everyone seems to have something to say about developing a holistic approach towards finding a solution to the crisis in the region in order to avoid a vicious cycle.
You are appeasing them, another group coming up appeasing them, does not solve the problem. The problem will only be solved when we have leaders who have the interests of the Niger Delta people at heart, who will be able to develop the place, who will lead a government that will be inclusive.
There are ethnic nationality people in the form of Ijos, Ikweres, Ogonis, Ishekiri, Urobo, Afemai, call whoever, all right? And there are all of them having apex and umbrella organizations. Therefore, a more sustainable approach and process is to now come back and start a new approach, and which is what I call ethnic nationalities conferencing for the Niger Delta people.
The journalists, on the other hand, are advocating a new way of thinking.
The government need to re-strategize. If they must succeed, they must have to learn new strategies, because the old strategies they know is not helping them. And the only way you get out of problem is gain fresh knowledge. Knowledge is the answer to solving Niger Delta problem.
While the federal government continues to find ways of ending what appears to be an age-long crisis in the Niger Delta, some believe the line between criminality and genuine agitation should be properly drawn to bring lasting peace to the region. Emmanuel Irei, Channels Television News.
In Egypt's rocky eastern desert, Alexander Nubia CEO Mark Campbell sees hills so rich with gold they could lure billions in investments and jumpstart the ailing economy. The country's gold mining industry has for years been long on potential and short in investment, the result of a jarring mismatch between spectacular geology and an unattractive commercial framework for mining.
Despite a history of gold mining that stretches back to the pharaohs, the industry in Egypt is largely dormant. With just a single gold-producing mine, Center Means Sukari, the sector contributes a fraction of 1% to gross domestic product. But last year, Egypt's government said it wanted mining to contribute upwards of 5% to GDP within 10 years. This month, it will launch its first bid round for new mining concessions since 2009, when a global gold mining boom brought a handful of first-time investors to Egypt, despite what many of them say were poor commercial terms. Most of these investors left after the 2011 uprising, driven away by rising political turmoil and falling global gold prices. Now, armed with a 2014 mining law that helps streamline investment, Egypt wants to lure them back. If successful, the industry could create jobs and attract foreign currency to an economy that is in dire need of both. Leonard Carr, a geologist with Vancouver-based Alexander Nubia, said the ancient continental crust upon which the company's two concessions sit is chock full of potentially recoverable mineral wealth.
And a variety of minerals are found here, principally gold, silver, copper, lead, and zinc, in massive sulfide and orogenic gold deposits. But there's others. There's occurrences of tungsten and molybdenum, possibly others. It's interesting because it extends into Saudi Arabia and into Sudan and Eritrea, where there are large mines being found and developed. Egypt has potential for similar mineral development.
The allure of Egypt's geology has yet to spur a gold rush owing to regulation. Rather than levy a modest royalty on mineral production and collect tax, a system that helped Peru and Mexico launch their mining sectors, Egypt offers investors a production sharing agreement similar to its oil and gas deals. Mining companies say the model does not fit their work. Unlike companies drilling wells, their capital costs can stretch for decades as they build out mines requiring hundreds of millions of dollars in investment. They say production sharing, on top of a royalty payment, makes Egypt a prohibitively expensive play. But for Alexander Nubia, an exploration junior that takes on a multitude of high-risk bets in hopes of occasionally striking it big, Egypt's mining history makes it a sound wager. The work of past miners dots the hilly expanse of the company's concession, a crumbling Roman fort and an abandoned 20th century British mine are not far from its own drill holes. Campbell says these relics are cost-saving guides to future discoveries, while new technology allows modern miners to drill deeper and extract lower-grade minerals than their predecessors.
There's about 6,000 years of mining history here, and a large part of it was gold. And what makes it exciting is that for all those years, that's thousands of years that it was mined, it stopped.
Campbell added that a prospect Alexander Nubia, just one of 3 active explorers in Egypt, began exploring in 2011, will likely yield a commercially viable discovery next year. The firm plans to begin building Egypt's second mine by 2019.
And that's Network Africa this hour. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm Adeshewa Josh. I'll see you again.